Hi homeschooling mums, it's Abhinav for homeschooling in London, and I wanted to discuss this issue of hitting your children using a belt or some kind of curtain wire or some kind of something. I watched a video on Facebook, which is probably, don't know if you've seen the video, and I'm going to see if I can try and find the video. Because it was actually posted through Facebook. So I don't know if it's available on YouTube, but I watched it about maybe a week and a half ago, and I actually didn't really like the video. It was basically about these kids that are doing these challenges online. You know, like when they do the sleep challenge and the fire challenge, which has been ridiculous. I don't agree with any of those things. And it was a girl who apparently did the sleep challenge. Don't know the full story because they didn't really say. They just said that she was told not to do the sleep challenge and that they had heard that she had done it. So the mother proceeded to film her going to get a belt, bringing the belt back and beating her with a belt. I'd say about 70% of the comments underneath the video were saying that it was great. It was a good thing that they did that. The woman did that, and that she's a great mum for using a belt on her child. And I beg to differ with it. Like, I didn't actually think that it was necessarily the right thing to do. I think what her mum could have done was turn the camera on and have a stern talk with her on camera about the dangers of doing these challenges, and even she could have even showed her removing all the stuff from her room and saying, you're not going to have your phone, you're not going to have your TV, you're not going to have any of these things. You're going to clean the house top to bottom every single day for a whole month. Something. I don't know what other punishments that she might be comfortable with doing, but I don't really think violence is the answer in these kind of cases. And I think a lot of parents the people that were leaving comments underneath saying that it's fine to use a belt on your child. I was like, I'm of the opinion that I don't think it's actually the right thing to do. I think it should never be violence should never be a first resort, and that's what I noticed. I've noticed with quite a few parents. I'm not talking about necessarily parents I've seen online, parents that I know personally, that they seem to take the first result is the belt, or the slipper, or the curtain wire, and they say, oh, it's fine to give your child a beating like that because as long as if they've done something that deserves a beating, then it's fine to bring out a belt. It doesn't do them any harm. It prevents them from doing wrong. In my experience, being beaten with a belt didn't make me stop doing what I was doing. Actually, it didn't prevent me from doing it. I carried on doing it afterwards. Not straight away, maybe a few weeks, but I would go back to the same behaviour, the same patterns of behaviour. And I think what a lot of parents need to start trying to do is trying to find ways of modifying the child's pattern of behaviour and start trying to find the root of this behaviour, because children don't just decide to be bad for no reason or decide to go and start acting crazy for no reason. There's so many different reasons that children go and do these kind of things. Sometimes it is actually attention they're seeking, whether it's the bad attention or the good attention. As long as they're getting attention from their parents, sometimes it is actually attention that they're looking for from their parents. And I'm not going to make a blanket statement here because I don't know every single parent out there, but from parents that I know personally, black parents I'm talking about, because most of my friends are black. I do have some friends that are not black, or friends that are not from my specific part of the world, but I'm talking about these specific black parents, the ones that I'm talking about, and they seem to lack in the area of direct communication with their children. So their children find it difficult to communicate with their parents face to face, sit down and say, Mum, this is what I'm going through. Oh, there's this situation with this boy or whatever. And obviously some girls are too young, or some boys are too young to really be engaging in certain adult activities, but parents do need to face that at a certain age, around the early teens, the children are going to start having certain feelings, certain hormones are going to start surfacing, and they need to talk about it. And some parents kind of don't want to talk about it, and they just like brush it off, or, you know, they just automatically think their child is being bad, when sometimes it's not even that. And they need to get to the root cause, sit down and talk to their children. And I think quite early on in a child's development, you need to make it clear, and make it clear that the children, they can come and talk to you. You need to become approachable as a parent, in order for your child to sit down and say to you, this is the issue that I'm going through, this is the problem that I'm going through, what can I do to... Sometimes peer pressure can cause them to go and do things that really they shouldn't be doing. But if you as a parent allows yourself that open line, allows that open line of communication between yourself and your child or your children, they might be able to come to you and say, Mum, Dad, you know, kids in school are pressuring me to do this and pressuring me to do that. You know, so this issue of using a belt, a curtain wire, a slipper to actually hit your child, I'm not really sure I agree with it. I've never used, I mean, my child's only 5, but some parents do hit their kids that young, you know, with a belt or a cane or whatever, you know. And I've heard some people say, well, in Africa they do it and the kids turn out disciplined and they're really good, and they don't talk back to adults. They just stand there and just listen when adults talk, and they just, you know, everything an adult says is always right, and so they have to listen to their parents at all times. In my household, I encourage healthy debate with my child. He's only 5, but I'm trying to encourage him to just like question things. And so if I'll say to him, well, this is the way to do it like this. If you don't want to do it like that, then you're in trouble. That's not how I want to raise my child. I'm trying to raise my child in such a way that he can think for himself and actually try and see things from his own point of view and say, okay, actually, Mum, I think this might be a better way of doing things. What do you think? Should we try it out? Yes, let's try it out. Maybe your way might be better. Instead of just automatically believing that your child is just some, you know, some being that has to be poked and prodded and told what to do all the time, and has to do exactly as you say, when you say it, and should never question anything that you say. Because at the end of the day, we might be adults and we might have more experience than those children. But, and there is a big but, sometimes you might be wrong. Because at the end of the day, we are only human beings. We are not always going to be right as parents. There will be times when we make the wrong choices, and our children might even be able to see that, because some children are very mature for their age and they can see certain things. Maybe it shouldn't be done like that. Let's do it like this. There was a time when I was moving something from the living room. I'm going to give you an example. Some parents, some African parents, or generally some parents, in my experience, African parents would have screamed at their child and said, no, do not talk back to me. I'm right because I'm an adult. You do as I say. Respect me. I'm talking about from experience in terms of the fact that I'm grown up in an African household, and I've seen other African children, as in my peers, and how their parents have treated them. I don't know what goes on in every other household in the world and where from other cultures, because I haven't necessarily been around that. Talking from my own standpoint here, a child might say to their parents, no, Mummy, try it this way. And some parents might just go, don't talk to me like that, you're going to do as I say. No, I said, you think I should do it this way? Okay, let's try it your way and see what happens. We did it his way and it worked out great. It might have worked out great if I did it my way, but we tried his way and he felt accomplished, he felt happy that he managed to think of an idea and it worked out okay. So, the question here is to everybody is, do you agree with this type of punishment where you use a weapon, you know, a belt, a curtain wire, a slipper, to actually beat your child? Not just a tap, but actually to hold your child's arm and whack your child in the back and on the legs and, you know, cause scarring. Because some children do get that, you know. But you use a belt, it can cause, you know. I know many parents are going to sit there and say, it's fine, You don't know what the child's done. If the child's done something really bad, they do deserve to get beaten up. But I know many children that have never been hit before, and they've turned out amazing. They've turned out gentle, loving, caring, kind, and believing in non-violence. It can be quite a blanket statement to say that if you hit your child with a belt, that they're going to grow up to be violent and just, wreaking havoc all over the place. That is a blanket statement, because I know some kids that have been, used physical abuse has been used, or physical violence in terms of a belt has been used, and they've turned out fine. But the thing is, when you say fine as well, you don't necessarily know what's going on inside their head. You don't necessarily know what's going on inside, in terms of their mind and how they are coping with things emotionally and psychologically, how it might have affected them. So I really do think parents should think twice before actually using belts on their children. I really think they should think twice. I mean, you might think my opinion's wrong, but I think parents should start trying to think of more intelligent ways of punishing their children rather than just getting a belt out. I think that's quite an easy option, actually. Okay, let's get a belt and just whack you. There should be another strategy in place first to see what works, And I think sometimes you have to think about how you discipline your children from a very young age. And if you get it right from that young age without using physical, violence, the child might not necessarily develop certain behaviours. It's not definite, but they might not develop certain behaviours if you've created that firm, strong foundation from the start. If you've developed that respect between parent and child and parent, rather than just saying, you're a child, you respect me, you do as I say, and that's it. I really do believe respect kind of works both ways. You need to respect your child needs to respect you. And I think it should start from the beginning. And when you both have that mutual respect for each other, I think you'd have a happier home, rather than this constant arguing in the house, because there's this lack of respect from both sides. It's possible for you not to respect your child. It's possible for your child not to respect you. And sometimes you have to be the shining beacon of an example, as to how your child should behave. It's easier said than done in a way as well, because you don't know what's going on in people's households. Some children just end up running riot, and it's not necessarily the parents' fault. They've tried their best. They've tried hard. They might not have hit their children. They might have, and it's just you can't actually just say, it's a blanket statement, this is the way it should be. But this is just my opinion. I don't think I personally would use a belt on my child. Would you use a belt on your child? You might not want to say it on YouTube because you might think the authorities might come after you, whatever. But the opinion, just give me your opinion. Do you think it's okay to use a belt on a child? Do you think it's fine to do it? Or do you think it's completely wrong? My opinion, I wouldn't do it. What's your opinion? I just want to evoke discussion here, so please do join in the discussion, join in the conversation, leave comments below. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.